that they are not well supported. We go there, we see other countries. When you go, you see countries like South Africa, China, Turkey, USA, of course, the European Union, Gulf states. Not only do they have pavilions where they raise their issues, have side events, constantly every day discussing their issues, telling the world about their plans, how they are coping. They also have offices, functional offices that you can go to get issues, discuss opportunities, wherever it is. Nigeria in that regard has been missing. Not only do we not have such, our delegations are not even sufficiently supported. So you have year in, year out, the Nigerian delegation gets in a bit late, except for a couple of officials from the ministry who gets there early enough. Nigerian negotiating delegation gets in a bit late. And unfortunately, even this year, they couldn't wait through the conversation.
And so what would they bring back?
Well, because Nigeria negotiates within the bloc called G77 and China, so essentially it is what that bloc is able to negotiate. But Nigeria shouldn't position itself like that, because South Africa has moved ahead of that. They are part of the BRICS country, and they are placing their issues the way they want their issues to be placed. They are putting their issues on the table. Nigeria is a regional power. We have huge population. We are a major frontier of climate change. We are climate dependent in terms of our economy, and we're a fossil fuel economy. So we are supposed to be a major partaker in the conversation so that we can make sure that our interests. I give you, for instance, most of the money is coming to developing countries and least developed countries. In Africa, Nigeria benefits the least among, when you take countries like South Africa, the East African countries, even our West African neighbors. They get much more. And Nigeria, considering the challenges we have and the kind of population we have, the importance we have on the continent, we ought to get much more than we are doing. But we don't have the things that will attract funding to us. For instance, we are not placing our issues on the table. We don't have a National Climate Change Commission, for instance, that is going to tell the people as challenges. This is Nigeria's strategy for addressing these issues. We have a NASPA in place, National Strategy and Plan of Action. It's not effective. It's not effective. We don't have a national climate change policy as of yet. So there are many issues that the world is waiting to hear from Nigeria. What do you want to do? They're not just going to throw money at you. So even all these global delegations, we are going to have discussions. When the monies come, it's not likely to come our way.
Because so it won't even in any way impact on what we want to do.
Okay, recently the federal government announced that 9 billion naira will be used for clean cook stove, and some people, of course, have kicked against this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I believe that is coming under the ecological fund. And even if you are giving out this stuff, how many people are aware of that? There is a need for you to have an awareness. For instance, we are talking of climate change. We are asking people to stop cutting down trees. Definitely, if you ask me to stop cutting down trees, what are the alternatives you have for me? Okay, we want to stop cutting down trees, but these are the stuff. And how many people are even going to get this stuff? Is it for the people in the rural area, or at the end of the day, you find out that the old stuff go to a particular state or a particular region? But these are meant for people in the rural area. Are you just giving them the stuff? Is there an alignment? And how many people are even ready to embrace this stuff? How many of them can make use of it? How many of them understand how it works? Because most of them are so used to the conventional method of going to the nearest forest, get firewood, and do their cooking. But now the government introducing the stove, do they know how the stove works? What brings about this stove? So there's a need for a greater awareness, and they need to bring in the expert, and you even need to localize it. What are the various problems these people are facing in various regions? Like you said, you go to the north now, they are being faced with the issue of desertification. Come down here, we have the issue of erosion. Then go to the southeast, you have the issue of gully erosion and so on. So you need to look at the various problems, not that, okay, we are bringing this 9 billion naira worth of stuff, and we're just distributing, but are everybody interested in this stuff? You need to look at the problem. Look at them, look at, okay, the problem we're having in Lagos has to do with erosion. Let's tackle that. In the north, we are talking about the issue of desertification. How can we tackle that? Then you also look at the southeast, where we have the issue of gully erosion. So it's not just by, okay, we have to spend this fund. It's the ecological fund. What do we need to do? Let's push out this stuff to people, and let's see what we can achieve with that, and maybe do some kind of campaign that, okay, we'll be able to spend the fund. The fund is always there every year, but this time around, we are pushing out 9 billions.
Mr. Eric Babu was smiling when I mentioned the 9 billion naira for the clean stove.
Yes, it's unfortunate. I've heard a lot about that money. I've heard a lot of rumors that people will do funny things with it. But really, my problem is not that government has devoted that. The challenge I keep having with the way Nigerian government spends money. If you remember when we had the whitewater flooding in 2012, government came out and said, here is 17 billion naira. And we had situations, they say, okay, some states get 250 million. At the end of the day, victims of that flooding, some of them got 500 naira. Some didn't get at all. How helpful is that? But we are saying the same 17 billion, if you had listened to the forecast, if you had listened to your expert, and you gave that 17 billion a year earlier to appropriate agencies to prepare, you would have reduced the impact on the people. And that's the same thing that is happening in terms of this stove. Now, the questions are, why are you taking the whole of that money out to go and buy things? Can we not do something around it here? Because then you are going to have issues of maintenance and what have you. How about the culture? Are people ready for this thing? There was a time we started on the culture of, okay, let us remove all the incandescent bulbs and go to compact fluorescent bulbs so that we can reduce our consumption. And at the end of the day, because we didn't give appropriate education, because we didn't check to ensure quality assurance, at the end of the day, that campaign was a mess up, because when you buy an energy saving bulb for 300 naira or 200 naira, and after one power surge is gone within a week, you get tired, you go back to the old reliable energy consuming incandescent bulb. And these are the challenges. When you bring a 9 billion naira worth of soap, let's even assume that everything go well and you distribute it equitably and people are supposed to use it. One, you have not trained people, you have not really convinced them on why they need to do these things. You have not even checked to see that many of these things will be appropriate for the environment that these people find themselves. You give to somebody in Lagos a stove that maybe will use some sticks of firewood. Yes, it has reduced energy, but maybe that person is who's been used to using kerosene or prefers to use gas. So you have to see what is appropriate for each environment. That has not been done. That is why we are saying, if you had a body like a climate change commission that thinks through most of these issues, because climate change is not an environment or agric or whatever, it's a cross-cutting issues across development. So when you have a body that helps to think through these things, we'll not take decisions haphazardly and end up just throwing money at problems and we don't get results. And that is the fear I have about.
So if you have to give your own recipe of how you think, Nigeria should go in terms of the climate change issues, what would you say?
My first appeal will go to Mr. President, that he should consider signing the Climate Change Commission, which had gotten to his table a couple of years back, but because the President was not properly informed by those who should inform him, he didn't put his signature on that bill. So the bill went back to the National Assembly. The National Assembly understands. Some of these people have gone to conferences, they have been exposed to issues, and they supported, and they still support the passage of the bill. But they need assurance that when it gets to the presidency again, there would have been sufficient information given to Mr. President about the importance of this, so that some people don't just go and tell the president, no, don't worry. Yes, we have a department in the Ministry of Environment that is dedicated to climate change. That's an improvement from where we were a few years ago. But it's not sufficient. It's not just an environment thing. We need an holistic thing. A body, a commission that is able to work